Well, hello and good afternoon. It is late February in 2014 and I came across a great find here that I thought would be video worthy. I essentially bought my bike off the floor, my K1600 GT. I bought it right off the floor as it was equipped, and I didn't option it up other than purchasing the aftermarket trunk for the bike. The bike did not come with an audio system, the OEM audio system. You can, if you want, buy aftermarket audio systems, but I really liked and I did try the OEM audio system on the bike. A lot of people don't like it. I tried it and I liked it, but the cost to retrofit that system to my bike is in the vicinity of here in Canada about $3,500. So it's way out of my price range. So I made a vow that I would keep an eye out on various, I keep an eye out on eBay or our local classifieds to find an OEM system that was taken out of a stock bike and see if I could find one cheap. And I did. As you can see here before you, if you have a keen eye, this is the complete audio system out of a K1600. And I got this here for about $500 off eBay. And I'm very pleased. It came off a bike that had 700 miles on it, and the bike had never been totaled or wrecked or claimed. It was just traded in, and the buyer parted it out to make a healthy profit over what he paid for the used bike, I'm sure. Anyway, before you, here are the parts. Here's the main unit. Okay, this unit alone here in Canada is $1,700. This is the main audio unit that plugs right in. Fortunately, my bike came pre-wired for audio because I wanted the navigation system. And in order to have the navigation system working on, or integrated to BMW navigation system working, you need the audio system pre-wiring. And mine has that. So this here part here, which is the actual harness for the audio system, this part is not needed, or in my case it's not needed. I already have these wires. If your bike is pre-wired, if you look under the driver's seat and you can see these colored terminals going into a dummy block, a black piece of plastic that crosses the rear subframe. Anyway, I already have that, so I don't need this. And here is the antenna, the FM antenna, FM radio antenna. My bike already has one of these, so I'm not going to need this. However, I will need this, as I mentioned. I'll also need this. This is a switch block that goes along the left-hand side of the fairing, and basically that controls, and that plugs into a plug that's already on the bike. Here is the Bluetooth antenna that sits underneath the seat. Here's the satellite radio antenna that sits actually under the dash in front of the audio system, the navigation system. Here are two brackets that hold the speakers. There's a left one and a right one. And here are the speakers themselves. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that these are actually aftermarket drivers. Okay? The normal BMW OEM speaker has a driver that almost looks like carbon fiber. These here are two-way aftermarket drivers that the prior owner obviously installed, so I'm very pleased about that. That actually adds to the value of this whole system. So involved in doing this, which you'll see in just a moment here, the installation of these components is fairly straightforward. It involves taking off a few panels, plugging things in, screwing them on, and you're good to go. In addition to these components, I also bought 18 special screws from BMW that I know will fit these from the schematic drawings online. So I ordered the parts from my local dealer and I'll install those. Now, once all these components are installed, I will still need to take the bike to the dealer. And the dealer will have to program the computer to accept or to recognize these components installed on the bike. I can't do that. So what I'm actually going to do is hold off installing this. I'll show you where it goes in just a moment here on the bike and how it gets installed, but I'm not going to actually install it. I'm going to bring the bike to the dealer and have him plug this last piece in and have the computer recognized that, and the parts. Now, I did speak to the dealer, and they say they can do it. They've never done it, but they've heard of it being done, and they will need help from BMW Canada to do that. But I'll let them do that. So, here we go, and I'll at the end of the video, I'll tell you how long it took me to do, but it shouldn't take very long. I'm figuring about an hour at the most, maybe 2. So here we go. Okay, here you can see the main unit compared to the dummy switch block that's on the bike. So I'm going to take this to the dealer and have them install it. For ease, I found that taking off the air intake panel simplifies the job. First to come off, last to go back on. Only held on with one screw in the middle. Okay, removing the bodywork, you always start from the bottom and work your way upwards. The big panel on the lower front is where we start. There's 2 screws in the front and 2 screws on the very bottom underneath the bike. The ones in the front are a little tough to get to, so turn the wheel to one side. To undo the small panel, open up the storage door, undo the upper left-hand screw, and the bottom screw, which is both underneath the door. There it is, you can see it. Up underneath, you can see the 3rd screw holding it on. There it is. This piece pulls right out and swings up and out of the way. Very easy to remove. Now you've exposed the main painted panel. There are a lot of screws to remove, so you start at the bottom ones. There's 2 along the bottom, and of course 2 at the rear, 1 above and 1 below the audio buttons that we will be installing. And of course there's screw up front near the blinker and 1 beneath it. And the final screw just underneath the airfoil. Hold on to the panel because it will fall off. To simplify my approach, I'm going to remove the airfoil. There's only 2 screws holding it on the side here. You don't need to remove the side black panel that holds these buttons. You can remove the airfoil. It will allow you to flex gently the panel out enough to get a screwdriver on it to remove the fake buttons and to put in the new ones. And there's not a lot of stress on the plastic to do this. It was quite easy. The plug for the switches is already on the bike installed. All I have to do is uncap it and plug it in. Now I can get to work and put the side bodywork back on the bike. Here it is in fast motion. Putting the bodywork on, you start at the top, work your way down. Here's the big painted panel going on. There are screws that you can forget to put in, and you don't realize it till you're done, and you realize you have a screw or 2 left over. The area you most likely forget, as I know I did, was the 2 screws up front near the indicators. There's 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. And of course there's 2 along the bottom and 2 at the back near the switches, and then 1 big one on the top underneath the airfoil. Also, please note, for your own benefit I guess, that all the screws are the same size except for the 4 screws that go around the compartment. There are 2 screws at the top of the compartment and 1 screw at the bottom that you've seen. And there's also 1 screw underneath where the panel goes up near the engine. Those are all small screws. And of course here's the trick to keep your windshield up while you're working around the speakers. Turn on the bike, lift up the screen, and then pop the cap on the nav box. That will keep the screen up in the air after you turn off the ignition. Speaker boxes are easy. There's only 2 screws holding them on. 1 on the top and 1 on the inside on the bottom. Same goes for both sides. Biggest surprise here where there were already speakers installed on the bike from the factory. Pleasant surprise. Now I just need to take this top panel off with the two outside screws to mount the satellite antenna. Removing the panel is easy, just a little downward pressure and it pops right out. To reveal a second surprise, there's already a satellite antenna installed. So, although unexpected, a pleasant surprise. Pop it back on, screw it back on, we're good to go. To mount the Bluetooth antenna, I'm just using some good outdoor two-sided tape. So with the Bluetooth antenna, I'm done. Now, all in, it probably took me a half hour to 45 minutes to do. Very quick, simply because it wasn't as much work as I thought. Anyway, until next time, take care.